So this is my new project, Climbing the Ladder, where I'm just going to go up the solo ladder with Orc and kind of just see how far I can get. And during this video series, I'm going to try to include just any little tips and tricks, information that really help change how I play the game for the better. And hopefully it helps some of you guys out there. Hopefully it brings some more people into the game. I know Reforged is coming up soon, so I know a lot of new players. This won't be any pro strategies or anything you can take into the finals or anything like that, but it should help you at least in the lower level ladders. And yeah, hope you enjoy. One more thing I forgot to mention, I did drop a hefty text box in the video description, so check that out if you process information written better than spoken. It's not an exact summary of the video, but it's, I don't know, some rough ideas that I had written down, so I thought I'd add them. So first and foremost, before we get into any of the actual gameplay basics, the first thing you're really going to want to do is get a basic understanding of all the different unit types, buildings, items, maps, all of that stuff. Build up your background knowledge either through experience with computers or reading wikis or whatever. Get that knowledge, so it's going to be really important, especially when it comes down to understanding strategies. You got to understand why you're building the units that you're going to build in order to counter. Another thing is just kind of understanding how all the basic resources work. You got your gold, your lumber, and your food. We'll get more into food later when we get into experience and stuff like that, but your gold and your lumber is what you really need to focus on as far as production-wise. You're going to want, regardless of what race you are, 5 peons, wisps, peasants, whatever, in your gold mine, and probably around 6 or 7, at least peasants or peons gathering wood. Not too real sure on the numbers for Night Elf or Undead, though. One thing I forgot to mention at this point in the video was to make sure that you don't get supply capped, and what I mean by that is watch your food and make sure you've got enough burrows to supply your army. You only want to really cap it if you're trying not to go into upkeep. Making 4 burrows is perfect, but make sure you've got room for more army if you're trying to build more army. Having your buildings just sit there doing nothing while you wait for probably 2 or 3 burrows, because you're not just going to drop 1. It's not very efficient with your resources, and it's going to leave you behind it as far as unit count goes. Once you start the game, you're going to want to be constantly producing your workers until you've saturated all of your base resources. Keep your buildings busy at all times. This is going to be mostly Orc, because that's kind of what I've gravitated to on my ladder. I really suck with Night Elf. Human I'm alright with. Undead I'm decent with, but Orc is my race. So the other thing I'm doing here is I'm setting different hotkeys for these. Keeping probably my Great Hall on 6, and my altar and barracks I'm going to throw on to 5 together for producing units while I'm fighting.
Work complete. Ready to work.
I'll go over build orders and stuff like that later. Right now I'm just kind of trying to go through the basics,
Ready to work.
I've got my 5 on gold. I got guys going to get wood now. As soon as my altar and my burrow were completed, I started producing a hero. As soon as that's up, I'm building a grunt. you keep your resources down real low. The other thing you want to keep an eye on is upkeep. Upkeep's really important in this game. It's why you see smaller armies a lot of the time. It's because people don't want to go to higher upkeep too early. So usually you're going to want to build your first army up to 50 food, and then expand after that, or maybe even try to win the game. You never know. Now, as soon as these guys were ready, I started sending them over towards these creeps. We'll get into creeping in a later video as well. Base layout's pretty important too. You want to try to make it hard to attack. You want to defend key structures, but again, that's something we'll go into later as well. Another really important thing is you don't really want to queue up too many units in your building. You know, I could have 3 grunts queued up, or I could have a grunt queued up, I could have a burrow building, and I could have a war mill building. You know, it's obviously going to be more efficient if I've got more things happening at the same time, rather than just 400 gold waiting in my barracks doing nothing.
Vengeance forsook you.
So now let's take a look at what our enemy's doing. Looks like they've got a tavern hero, good old dark ranger, and they're creeping the yellow camp. So it's pretty similar. They've got a similar number of peons gathering wood, probably have 5 gathering gold.
We're under attack! Life for the Lord.
But as you can see, I am playing aggressively, and I'm going to come over here. I'm either going to try and get some early kills, get some experience, or I'm going to go for some recon. And we got a skeleton. Sadly, we don't pick up the grunt, and yeah, had to waste a scroll. But that let me know that the enemy's got a dark ranger, and I'll keep creeping since I gotta wait for him to get some health back. Over here, we've teched up.
We're under attack!
We've kept producing units. We switched over to headhunters. Those are gonna help take those skeletons out. And that's just due to armor type. Kind of go over that a little bit.
Research complete. We're under attack!
So, you see these have medium armor type and piercing attack. We've got normal and heavy. You know, everything's got their own unique set. And so medium armor is going to be weak against normal attacks. Light armor is going to be weak against piercing attacks. And heavy armor is going to be weak against magic attacks. And that includes spells. So I'm actually very wrong about that. Spells like Chain Lightning, Shockwave, and stuff, they only do maximum 100% damage unless the target's ethereal. And they only do 70% damage to heroes. So you don't get the bonus damage against heavy armor like I thought you did. That would just be your magic damage, like Griffins and certain spellcasters have magic attack. The other thing I included here is the armor table, which shows how much percentage damage reduction each additional point of armor gives you. Can be helpful when you're weighing your upgrades, or if you're just curious as to why the Orb of Corruption is so useful. You can take a look at the negative armor on the right side there, but I think the attack and defense chart's a lot more important there. If you understand the fundamentals of, 75% damage versus 200% damage, I mean, your army's going to go a lot farther. And this includes even like chaos and hero damage, hero armor, stuff like that. So definitely take a minute, pause the video, check it out. So chain lightning or griffin, that's going to be your magic damage.
Our town
So
is under
I
attack.
picked up a shredder because wood is very important and it will free up some peons. If this game goes on longer, I will end up taking those peons over to my natural expansion down here and making another resource gathering point. So that was a good exchange. They got a building, which buildings that don't attack are worth 0 XP. And I know I got at least a couple of kills here. So that was a very good trade. I can just rebuild that. I'm not really dependent on that anyways right now. So I kind of missed this when I was initially recording. I was blabbing on about shredders and gathering lumber, but I actually lost more than just like some units and stuff. He came in and was able to deny my Taran totem, which kept me from going into my tier 2 units. I would have made a couple of spirit walkers, just like he ends up doing. And that's a really good tactic, especially if you can hit the building while it's still under construction, because it doesn't receive any armor benefits whatsoever. They take 100% damage while they're under construction, and even if you cancel it before it gets destroyed, you still lose a percentage of resources. I think 40%, but don't quote me on that. That'll be in a future video. So it still was a pretty decent trade, but not quite as good as I originally thought. Gonna come over here and check if he has his expansion, and he doesn't. Hasn't even cleared it yet, so that's cool. And I see he's got some caster units, but I'm still pretty confident that I can take this, or at least get some good hits in. Having Endurance Aura gives me a huge bonus here, being able to really select where I want to fight, because I can back away or push really easily.
Work complete.
Traded a few more, lost my grunts, but that's okay. And now, yeah, see, the shredder is doing all the wood gathering I need, so I'm going to take these excessive peons over here and secure myself another gold mine.
The spirits of the earth guide me.
Got my own spirit walkers now. And I built this spirit lodge because one of the most important things in this game is reconnaissance. You're always going to want to know where your enemy's at, what they're doing, what's going on with them. So it's really good to build a spirit lodge as soon as you get to tier 2. Make maybe even just one troll to run around and drop wards every once in a while. Should be coming up any minute now. Yeah, otherwise stuff like this happens when you're not paying attention and lose a hero. I should have had a ward up, probably over here or over here, and I would have scouted that. But because of my awesome Endurance Aura, I was able to flee with minimal losses and regroup. Now, all of my unit producing structures as well as my war mill are all queued to 5. So I've got my barracks, Taran Totem, Altar Storm, got my Spirit Lodge, which is finally producing a Witch Doctor, and my war mill all on 5. So if I'm in the middle of a fight and I notice I'm losing some trolls, I hit my control group 5 and
Someone call for the
make a
doctor?
couple of trolls. It's really nice to have backup in the middle of a fight. Oh, and looks like he scouted my expansion. A lot of people will leave their expansion unprotected. I don't. I like to have a little defense there because he just these 3 turrets gave my army time to come in, and that's all I lost was a couple of turrets. Real cheap, real easy to rebuild, and my expansion is still standing. So now we can push the attack. We got some wards up.
Work complete.
This is a good crossroad point because it's from their base all the way down to my expansion. So I want to see if they're going to send units directly from point A to point B. He should have ate my Taran right there. Kodas are powerful because they can devour. It looks like I'm losing this fight. I actually kind of was. But I continue throwing wards up and I scout his expansion. Unprotected, look at that. So my wolf can free reign to harass his peasant, and his army has to react no matter what I send up here.
Research complete.
Now I've got a couple of key points warded, a couple of key crossroads, and his expansion warded, so I've got a good idea of where his army's at, as well as what's going on with his production.
Work complete. Watch over me, you scatty.
And this is also, a lack of his wards too, because wards can spot other wards. I don't know, maybe he has some. Let's see. Yeah, I didn't think so. I mean, look at that. He's just sitting there blindly hoping that I don't move forward on one of his bases. Or now I can see, look, he moved his army from here to here, so maybe he's going to try and come down this way.
Work complete.
Take some creeps while I wait over here. And notice how I'm creeping with only the 2 that aren't level 5. I've got this guy over here away from the group, so he's not leeching experience away from them. And I'll go into that in more detail later. Got a good Taran front line, and some headhunters to back him up. I'm thinking I might be going for the kill soon. Oh yeah, I remember this now. I just heard it over here. So I decided to hit him with a pincher attack. So I threw up another bestiary, and I'm just going to make a couple of raiders to attack. I think I was planning on attacking his expansion while my army attacks his main base, or vice versa, send my raiders for his main base while my army attacks his secondary. And my gold mine expired here. I was sending these 5 over here to kind of hide and try and set up and take this middle gold mine, because you never know how long these games are going to last. I don't know if I'm going to kill him now, or if this is going to go on for another 20 minutes. But I scout him moving down this corridor here, and decide to jump on him. Take out him here. My stomps are keeping them from running too much. Stomp and chain lightning, just cutting them down. Took care of that Dark Ranger. That Dark Ranger kept him from spawning skeletons, which kept his army numbers down. And this guy's just stomping everything to bits. Pendant of energy. That's what I needed. Notice that I'm also focus firing a lot of his units. We've got most of them attacking 1 target, 2 targets. especially when magic damage just brings everything down. So, I chose this one first because I felt like it really kind of hit the fundamentals on that one. A couple of takeaways. Buying a shredder is really important, pretty much no matter what race you are. Wood's important, and your workers are slow. uh, the other big takeaway there is do your scouting. There's three things you're really going to want to know. Where your enemy is, what race your enemy is, and what build they're going for. This one was pretty easy. I knew going into it that it was going to be an orc, and I knew exactly where they were going to be, so I didn't really prioritize scouting too much on this one. But if I was up against, say, a random, or if we were on Turtle Rock, actually, let me see if I have an example of that. But those are some situations that you're going to want to do some more intense scouting. Bam. For orcs, your options are sending out a peon. Let's try this one. I don't know what I did on this one. We'll play it. You can send out a peon, maybe like after you've saturated your gold mine and built one peon, gathering wood, just because, that's how my build order works, and I'll kind of go into that later. To just check out your enemies, see what race they are, or find their location. A lot of the times I play really aggressively, so I try to at least know their location so I can go and harass them, deny creep camps, get really peasant or peon kills, just really piss them off.
Ready to work.
So, as you can see, it's pretty much standard every time. Start with the altar, drop a burrow.
Ready to work.
Someone set a time,
complete.
But I usually just count my gold when I get to about 290. That's when I drop the burrow, and then throw barracks up as soon as I hit 180, and then just go back to throwing peasants and peons in the gold mine. Right after the gold mine, it goes to wood, and as soon as you get 40 wood, you're going to want to throw down another burrow, and as soon as you get your 200 gold, you're going to start an orc, or a grunt. This time I'm going Blade Master, and yeah, the replay title, I guess, kind of gave this one away, but I'm pretty sure I still came out on top here. A lot of people leave the game after their hero dies at level 1, level 2, but you never know.
My life for the Horde. I obey the Six of Vengeance. Work complete.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, I'm not even creeping. I'm going right to his house just to fuck with him. So the reason I'm doing this, well, one of the reasons I'm doing this, I'm not just being excessively greedy. I'm using my orc and my grunt to scout, just to find out what race they are, since this is a random. And as I approach with the grunt and the blade master, I noticed the blight and decided to just go for the grapes, try and grab some quick treasure and XP. Sometimes playing aggressive can really screw you over. The entire time I'm over here doing this, I'm still taking care of my base. Sometimes I just finished researching pillage, because again, I play aggressive sometimes. That means I go for an early building kill. It's nice to have pillage early on. Those early game resources really count. Like I just got him to waste his carrion swarm on a mirror. Damn, I'm greedy. Still producing grunts. This guy should have been queued up to go over here. He's just sitting there useless. And this is probably where I die. I'm a greedy bastard. Our hero has been slain. At least my grunt survived. A grunt is worth 75 experience, and a level 1 hero is worth 100 experience, so... My life for the Horde. Alright, so another quick correction. A grunt is not worth 75 experience. For some reason I thought the experience equation was the amount of food or the level they are times 25. It's a little bit more complicated than that, and I'll go into that in another video. I plan on going all over experience and all that. But a grunt is actually worth 60 XP, so just wanted to clarify that. The other thing is that a level 1 hero comes back a lot faster. And knowing that he's coming back soon, I started taking this creep camp. The other thing is, if you aren't near the creeps and your units kill them, your heroes will still get the experience. I didn't know this for the longest time, and it really changed the way I played Blade Master for a while. I thought I had to be there for it, but that's only if there's another hero nearby. Then they, split it or whatever. But if you have another hero there and you're not there, it all goes to the other hero. Work complete. So I'm able to send him over here to come harass and do whatever. And I'm able to use my grunts to take this camp. I don't do that. I think I just try and kill him. I can do that, and all the experience will end up going to the Blade Master. This is like revenge right here. With the Blade Master, I gotta play aggressive. We're under attack! We're just getting those free resources for a while. Knowing he's going spiders, I'm gonna try and take out his one good unit. Oh look, there's another one. We'll kill that one off. Make sure he can't establish an army. This is making 205 gold. I don't know how much lumber, but it's 205 gold lost twice. He hasn't dropped a single one of mine. I mean, it's numbers. point, I was surprised he was even still playing. So that was episode 1 of Climbing the Ladder, some things I feel like I'm going to be going over in the future, and this is not in any particular order. We'll probably go over experience mechanics, try to do some testing, how far away your hero can be and still get experience with another hero present, stuff like that. I'm going to be looking at more specific build instructions, how to get those precise gaps so that, maybe only a worker can get through or only one unit can get through at a time. Sometimes just putting buildings next to each other doesn't seal it up 100%, so I'm going to go over some stuff like that. If there is anything that I missed or anything that I didn't correct, feel free to point it out in the comments, and I'll try to make a correction or an edit or something like that. Yeah, thanks for watching.